country, just like in 2020, obviously it was a different time. We don't know what's going to be going on. Like we didn't know about COVID in 2016. But
Sure.
is it going to be so much chaos the next 4 years, right or wrong, whether you believe it in or not, what's happening, that you just want someone that's a little bit boring, like what happened with Joe Biden and how he won, right? So or will the country be ready for a boring candidate that a Bashir or someone can win?
Well,
We'll
I think it almost every election is a referendum on the incumbent. You know, essentially 20 was a referendum on Trump. That's why he lost. 24 was a referendum on Biden. That's why the Democrats lost. So, and you know, it again, it's the Republican candidate, it's the Democrat candidate, and it's the couch, right? Those are really the three candidates. And Trump got 2.5 million more votes than he got in 2020, but Harris got 7.1 million fewer votes. And there was that 1 in 7 votes that went for Biden in 20 that went for Trump in 24. And those are the voters. If the Democrats can just get those back, then they can win. And I don't think that's a very insurmountable task. I think it's relatively easy because people had rose-colored glasses when they thought of the Trump administration and they forgot about COVID. It was like he was in office for 3 years, not for 4 years. So I think that again, typically based on the start he's off to now, I think he is not going to be very popular at the come 2028.
I do wanna
But
talk about that real quick because I think Kamala's getting all this criticism of how she was, like, a bad candidate and stuff, and I actually have to say, I don't know if anyone would have beaten him. I mean, if you look at those numbers, I mean, Joe Biden wouldn't have beaten him. She wouldn't have
no,
beaten him. Even
Biden
if
would
they
have.
had a
There would have been 4 more Senate seats and about 10 more House seats if Biden had run. He was losing Virginia and New Mexico for crying out loud.
Yeah, that's
It
my
was going to
point,
be
though.
an absolute disaster.
I just don't
Yeah,
know if, this is where the Josh Shapirs of the world that were, up and coming stars that were considered VP candidates that probably were like, "Okay, good. I wasn't picked," or whatever, if he took himself out or not, whatever the rumors are, because he wasn't part of that ticket. But I do think that Trump just had a momentum and he tapped into what the country wanted at that time, and
I think the I think the
we didn't
only
realize how
way, and I
people were.
and Tim Walz was a bad choice for sure. I think she could have done better with Shapiro, but the only way that the Democrats could have won is if you had a Bill Clinton level skill politician who was able to position themselves as the challenger. And that was a very, very hard thing to do. And even Bill Clinton might not have been able to pull it off. But that's the only scenario. I agree with you. I think she was doomed. I don't think she ran a bad campaign. I think there was things that she should have done better, particularly distancing herself from Biden. You know, that would you change anything question on the View? And she's like, nothing comes to mind. That wasn't quite as bad as the basket of deplorables, but it was certainly up there in terms of self-immolation. But again, I think it was a very tough task.
The only way the Democrats could have won the race,
Mhm.
assuming the same sequence, assuming this is Joe Biden dropping out after the first debate, so you
Right.
have a 60-day runway really to work with, was to go so outside the box
Mhm.
that it just generate where the electorate, just like they did in 16, kind of goes, if we tried that, that would be interesting. And so the person I always come back to that I think would have been interesting, that could have matched Trump personality wise and communication skill wise, is Mark Cuban. If Mark
Mhm.
Cuban had run as a Democratic
Mhm.
nominee, I think he could have won, especially when the economy and inflation was the number one issue. Here's an actually successful real billionaire, unlike you, Donald Trump,
Yeah.
that could have taken the fight to him. Mark is a showman. He gets it. And he would not have had to have run as the incumbent. He actually could have run as the true outsider in that race.
Yep. No, I
Yeah,
think
that's
that's
true 'cause she had all of the Biden's policies around her, then she couldn't get out of
Yeah, I
that.
mean, it's the Biden-Harris administration. Like, you're running as the incumbent without any of the benefits of actually having been the incumbent.
Can we
yeah,
talk about
and also yeah, as I was
No,
going
I
to say,
just
as we talk
go ahead.
about Biden is the one who deserves so much blame for being hubristic, not seeing the writing on the wall, thinking he could win. I think it was Jill more than he, but it was so narcissistic and brittle and selfish for him to even run again. But
Didn't you
on
have to
that
be
note,
narcissistic to run for
I'll give
president?
you the last word, Ashley. Go ahead.
I
Say it again.
think everyone who's ever run for president is a narcissist.
Yes.
Yeah, not on that's true, but it was the move. That's true. It's like saying they're ambitious.